Life is often a struggle, or perhaps even a battle, especially these days when there seems to be so many challenges and changes. It is hard to determine what the future might hold. And I know for myself that the unknown often causes a sense of anxiety, a sense of fear. The mind is free to imagine all the possible scenarios, all the possible issues that might come up in the future, and often in the worst kind of result. It can often wear you down and cause you to become pessimistic about what is good and the value of sticking up for good things or putting your neck out. But we have a guide through the storms that strike us, and we can turn to him when we are afraid, just as St. Peter did when he cried out, "Lord, save me." When the apostles were struggling in the waters of the Sea of Galilee, they were experiencing a situation that they had no control over. They were at the mercy of the winds and the waves crashing against their boat. The constant fear of capsizing and not knowing if the next wave will be the one that will finally turn them over. Our lives today can often feel the same way. Every day there is more bad news for the church, for our faith, or for what we believe in. Attacks against families and marriage, rejection of fundamental understanding of what human men and women are. It can feel like we are all alone in our faith, especially when it seems like the whole world is working against us. But our Lord came to the apostles telling them not to fear. Our Lord draws close to us in our struggles. In fact, I think we can say that is when things are at their most difficult, that is when our Lord is closest to us, to reassure us of his presence and his care for us. But we must not let fear and anxiety keep ourselves from recognizing his presence. When Peter got out of the boat, he was able to walk on the water because of his faith. And that because he also kept his eyes on Jesus. He paid no attention to the storm around him. It is only when he took his eyes off Jesus that he began to sink. We too can take our eyes off Jesus and begin hyper-focused on the current state of our lives, current situation in our families, or even our country. For example, right now there is a ballot amendment for the November elections this year to make abortion a right under the Ohio Constitution. The fundamental dignity of life is threatened from conception all the way to birth, for any reason whatsoever, to have an abortion. Furthermore, parents may be in danger of no longer having a say in some of the medical decisions of their children. Minors can have access to abortion without their parental consent and will be given support by the state to do so. The amendment does not come out and say this outright. Often these things are written in a certain legalese, very bland language that makes things sound reasonable and palatable. But the vagueness of this language is what allows it to have a very broad interpretation, which can be very dangerous. We should respond to this danger with confidence of those who have the might of the living God behind us. No legal firm or well-funded activist can stand against him, but we must beseech his help in our struggle against this amendment. Peter cried out to Jesus, "Save me." We must cry out to Jesus so that he might save us. Prayer and fasting are some of the best weapons we have. Every day we can tilt the scales on the side of human life and dignity by asking our Lord to shape our hearts and minds. I encourage you to pray every day, especially the Rosary. Fasting as a spiritual practice turns our minds from worldly concerns and strengthens our spirits. It strengthens our wills by denying ourselves the pleasure of food and uniting our discomfort with the passion of Jesus on the cross. And when done in conjunction with prayer, it is a force multiplier for grace. Additionally, any money that you do save from, the less food you eat, you can give to charity, which is also a very good thing. This is what the Church Fathers and many saints call spiritual warfare. And we are now being called forward to fight for truth, goodness, and human dignity. Each of us has a responsibility to contribute in a way that we can, to whatever degree that we can. Indifference in the face of evil only begets more evil. And the storms that have buffeted the church, our families, and our communities will only worsen. Hard times call for a strong response and courageous action. Do not let it be said that when the time came that we could have done something more and that we turned away in fear. Arm yourselves with prayer and educate yourselves, and boldly stand for life and to remember that Jesus has conquered all things. We need only to trust in his presence.